Moshpit was so well done. It was creepy. You established that really quick. Um, I didn't know it was coming. I was kind of just, you know, eeried out, not so much scared out or freaked out, but like there was just a really eerie tone that you set throughout the piece, and you did a great job establishing that and being incredibly consistent with that, with the pacing, with the tone, with these characters as well. A really creepy story, and if that's what you're going for, you did it really, really well. Um, so this was a really, really well told story and really well done.
Moshpit was insane. um, it definitely was a very eerie and intense short. Um, and when I say intense, I mean specifically at the end, that party scene. You kind of get that anxiety that comes from like that claustrophobic feeling, um, that that overstimulation. It's loud, it's tight. There's so many people around you, and then you just have that danger just walking towards you. I thought that was cool. That it was able to convey that feeling. All in all, had a lot of fun watching Mosh Pit.
Moshpit. This was really, really interesting. I like this kind of dystopian, kind of post-apocalyptic, futuristic world that they set in. And they did a good job of really like laying that foundation of just how dire things have gotten, that, you know, all of this kind of feels a little bit normal. And then I loved the idea of him introducing a concept and introducing this like folklore story and then it to be true, and he is kind of the one that orchestrated it in a way. Because I feel like if he was the one that introduced the concept, then he is the one that's like in some kind of way responsible for it, which I really loved. I loved that. I love that idea, and that, like I said, that he was the one that brought it up, and then suddenly like it's there. And it's not that nobody had ever heard of this story before or this legend before, but for the purposes of like the audience, he was the one behind it all. Um, and I thought it was great.
Well, an interesting concept. It was a good way to kind of express a kind of a larger fantasy horror sci-fi world by isolating it into this one camp here, and this predicament that these folks are dealing with, and that there's this mosh pit and an entity and all these things. It's a really strange and interesting mythology here. So yeah, all the actors did a good job, and music was cool, yeah, no, I loved seeing the supernatural entity and everything showing up at the end and all the craziness happening. So there was a good, exciting and crazy climax to it. So yeah, no, great job on this. Actors did a good job, well directed, nicely edited. Yeah, I hope this does well for you. I hope it gets out there and gets seen.
I really enjoyed this, and I'm not exactly sure why. It was frightening in all the right places. Kind of the mosh pit of hell, which I enjoyed. The makeup was spot on. The story was, I loved how they had the actors emphasizing the words, but it didn't sound forced. It's just this slow world where they speak in a slow, emphasized way, and it felt natural to this world we were in. It felt quite authentic, and you could feel her fear as we're in this panicked world, and they had quite a few jump scares, which were nice, and then a few of it where the dark nature of the story really goes along with what's going on, because you don't know what's going to happen next, even though it's a really short film.
This review is for Moshpit. I enjoyed this film's special effects over everything else. This makeup is really good, and the story behind the hellish pit, and they incorporate this guitar solo that complements very well this vibe of monstrous gathering and haunting. I I enjoyed this a lot, even though it's very short. It was greatly done.
Moshpit has this really unsettling yet comedic tone. It's really disturbing, like a strange vision of hell, but it's also like really funny. It's got a real oddness to it that I think overlaps the horror and the comedy. So you kind of come away kind of scared and unnerved, but also laughing, which is a really interesting, fun experience. I did really like how the lighting, the costume design, the set design, the makeup all combined really well to create a very palpable sense of world. I thought it was really impressive. And it was just really cool how it took like horror sounding music and actually fed that into the narrative itself and the film itself. I thought that was really clever and self reflexive and very fun.